I'm not one to speak about stuff going on in the news, but in 2023, going into 2024, it's absurd how obsessed people are with the idea of being a tipping culture. Do you know if you go to Spain and other places, it's insulting to tip people? Employers should be responsible enough to pull up the big boy pennies and take their heads out of their butts and actually pay their employees well. People do not get paid well. Managers at a lot of places that people work at are paid more than their employees. Their overall corporations make more than their employees, yet they can't afford to tip their employees. Explain that to me. Goodwill, Salvation Army, Target, Walmart, why can't y'all pay your employees well? I have to throw this out there because so many managers take home $20, $25 an hour while their employees take home $17. That's not a lot when you consider that your rent might be $1,200 a month. People can't even afford to buy a house on that or pay their bills or buy groceries, but somehow, in the words of employers, that's our fault. No, it's not. It's the fault of the company being a cheapskate or companies being cheapskates and not paying people well. Now, that's not to say that people don't deserve tips. Like if you work your ass off and you're nice to me, yeah, and I have the extra money, keyword being have, I'm going to tip you. I don't feel like I should have to tip you. I work hard for my money too. And I'm not saying you don't work just as hard, but I don't think that some people work harder than other people and that just because you made me coffee, I should tip you, or just because I came to your restaurant to eat, I should tip you. Now, mind you, yes, do I tip my baristas when I go out? Yeah, if I have the extra money and if they're nice to me. But if you're an asshole to me, no. If you're an asshole to me, no, I don't tip you. Same thing with restaurants. If you're nice to me, I'm gonna tip you. If you're rude to me, I'm still gonna tip you. I'm just gonna tip you a lot lower. For example, I took my husband and all of our friends out for our birthday, and the lady was rude, and she talked about every single person at our party and how she felt that each person should have tipped her $50 a meal. So she was so nasty and vile to me, I tipped this lady $2 at Olive Garden because she was rude and was talking about us. She didn't bring stuff on time. She forgot stuff from her order, brought the wrong stuff out to her table. So I tipped her $2 because she was rude. And then I called back to say something to her manager. Now, I'm not a Karen. Believe me, I've worked in the restaurant and retail industry for like ever and a day. So I do believe that people should have to work for their tips. But I also believe that employers should pay their employees well so they don't have to, grovel at their hands and feet for tips from people like you and me. I work hard and I want to go out with my family. I want to enjoy a meal, but I don't want to feel like I have to tip you. I should want to tip you. But it should also be optional, and it shouldn't be you complaining when you get a tip. If you're rude to people, you don't deserve a tip. That's like you want to pay Grubhub and Uber drivers to bring your food to your house, but you don't want to tip them $1 or $2. They're using their own gas. You might place a $45 order and you think that people like me and other Grubhub and Uber drivers get $45? No. Most of that money, in fact, is pocketed between the credit card companies, the restaurant itself, and the delivery app that you're using. We might get $10 or $15 on your $45, $100, $80 order. So I think consider that the next time you're being like rude to people about tips. I agree that people do deserve tips, but I also agree that but back to my original thought, is that employers really should just pay people well, bottom line, and they wouldn't have to ask for tips. I believe Ohio is still the only area where employees, servers and waitresses, get paid half of minimum wage and their tips. California, I think, is one of the only places where they passed a law that employers now have to pay employees hourly minimum wage plus their tips. So yeah, on average, people here are making $500 a night in tips plus their salary. They're making banging bucks here in California. Not so much in Ohio. They make half of minimum wage plus their tips. Ohio needs to get on board with making their managers pay their employees hourly plus their tips because everybody's struggling to live right now. Also, I would like to add, pay attention to the self-checkout when you go to places like Walmart and other grocery stores, because they are now adding a $1, $2, and $3 tip option at self-checkout.